What's up, homies? Welcome to another episode of the Homeys Real Estate Podcast. This is your host, Anthony.
I'm Angel.
I'm a realtor.
I'm a lender.
And together we're going to break down this crazy real estate market. We got a really good one. It's a question that I'm sure you all have and I'm sure you would like an answer to. And it's, what do we expect the real estate market to do in 2022, right? We had an anomaly of a year in 2021. We had record low inventory. We had record high appreciation. We had record sales prices, but can it continue into next year, right? Is that going to be the thing that we can expect moving forward? So we got a great article that we want to break down. It's from Keeping Current Matters. If you're listening to this on podcasts, on Apple or on Spotify, I'd highly recommend checking out our YouTube version or following us on social media. That way you can see some of these charts. I think it's a lot easier to digest. But they break down what to expect heading into 2022. And then they compile a collection of different experts and sources and break it down for us in basically one easy format to elaborate over to you guys. So what we want to go over is home prices first, right? So we all know we had a crazy year. Home price appreciation in some areas was as high as 20% at instances this year. That's crazy, right? And across the United States, we saw appreciation of about 11.74% on average. That's enormous amount of appreciation, right? If we're talking, a $500,000 home, that home is now worth closer to $555,000 in a year, $55,000 in appreciation, right? In high cost areas like Los Angeles County, where we're based out of, or Southern California, we're seeing much higher rates of appreciation, right? And in Los Angeles County, for instance, right now in November 2021, the median sales price is 13% higher than what we had last November. It's just short of $100,000 of appreciation higher, right? So, Angel, what catches your attention about this appreciation rate and where you project it to be heading into this upcoming year?
I think that obviously that was an extremely, historical year in appreciation, right? I don't continue to see that a significant amount of appreciation, but appreciation is still going to happen, right? So, of course, with appreciation, what that means for you buyers is home prices are going to continue to go up, right? So, I think just the way how the market appreciates is going to be really determined on interest rates, right? So, if interest rates stay at relatively low, then the appreciation rate will be higher. If we do see quite a big jump this year, I think it is going to slow down the appreciation quite a bit, but it's not going to be negative depreciation. Excuse me. It's going to keep appreciating throughout this whole year. So don't think that the market's going to crash within this next year and you're going to be able to buy a home for cheaper. It's honestly just not going to happen.
Gotcha. And can you explain for those homies out there that don't understand how an increase in interest rates are going to lead to lower appreciation?
Yeah, so when interest rates are lower, that means that you're able to qualify for more of a home, right? So when interest rates increase, that means that your payments are going to become higher, right? Because you have a higher interest rate. So that means the amount that you qualify for a home decreases. So if interest rates increase, let's say 0.5%, it's going to affect that buying power, right? You're not going to be able to qualify for the same amount that you were able to qualify for in this year, 2021, as you will in 2022, if the rates do increase, if we do see a big jump, right? As far as what I think on the rates, I think they have to go up. I can't see it not, but believe it or not, a lot of professionals and economists and people who really study the markets, the market and the interest rates, they have two different sides to it. Some people are saying it's going to go up. We're going to be in the higher threes next year. And some people are even projecting next year that we're even going to have lower rates in 2022 than we did in 2021, right? So only time can tell to see who's right. But nevertheless, wherever rates go, I still think it's going to appreciate this year, right? So I'm thinking it's gonna go back to more normal 5 to 8%, somewhere around there.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, Keeping Current Matters compiled a list of 100 industry experts, and they predict that appreciation nationally is going to be a modest 5.82%. That's about half of what we had last year. That's still really strong appreciation nationally. Remember, national markets are going to be a lot different than local markets, right? California has historically had higher appreciation than the national average. Throughout the last 10 years, we're looking at about, at least in Los Angeles County, about 7% appreciation rate, whereas everywhere else nationally it's been about a 4% average, right? More or less. So we can expect that if nationally it's going to be about 5.82%, that in California it will probably revert back to somewhere along the lines of 7 to 10%, right? Just because we tend to be a little bit higher than the average. So it's something to keep in mind. Again, right now at this current point, we're at 13% higher than what we had a year ago. In other markets like Orange County, which is our neighboring market just south of us, that appreciation rate is, let me pull it up real quick. That appreciation rate is 17.1%, right? So again,
So it's a little less.
So 17.1%, which is higher than Los Angeles County, because Los Angeles County is 13%.
Got it.
Yeah. So again, every market's going to be a little different, right? Just because one county borders another county doesn't mean that prices are going to be increasing at the same rate. It doesn't work like that, right? Even cities are different than other cities, and that's a whole different story. But yes, we can expect the prices to appreciate. It's going to drop down by about half from where it was last year, according to 100 industry experts. Now, Angel.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but to kind of put that in perspective, right? Imagine you're buying a home for let's say $100,000, and it was going up 16 or 13%. So that means that this last year you bought it for $113,000, right? Because it went up an extra $13,000 theoretically, and then if it goes up 8%, you're paying $7,000 more for the home, right, than you did a year ago. So if you buy a home that the home was cost $100,000 this year, by then the next year it should be worth about $107,000, right? So that's on a $100,000 home, but multiplied in LA by 7, 7 times 7 times 8, because we're looking at such larger purchase prices, right? So you're looking at paying, probably around $60,000 to $80,000 more by the end of next year on a home compared to today.
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually leads us into a second part of the article from Keeping Current Matters, which is the cost of waiting until next year. And according to a lot of industry experts, prices are going to appreciate, again, like we mentioned, about 5 to 6% nationally. And interest rates are also projected to increase according to these experts. Right now, interest rates sit on this article about 3% and should be at about 3.55% by middle to end of next year. So not only are prices more expensive, but interest rates are going to be higher, which is also going to both impact your purchasing power, right? And you're going to be able to purchase less for the same amount of money that you have now than you do in the future. So Angel, can you break down what the cost of waiting looks like for here on this home here, a traditional $350,000 loan amount?
Yeah, so the interest rate of 2.99 today, that would be a payment. I'm pretty sure this is just principal and interest of $1,474. And then by next year, with the increase in interest rates, it will be, this is the estimate if the interest rates went to 3.55%, which that's what a lot of people are predicting, mid to a little higher than mid threes. So the payment would be $1,581, which would be a difference of $107 per month, right? So
$107 a month. Again, in California, you can pretty much take these numbers and just multiply it by 2, just because our loan amounts are about twice as amount of 350, right? So 700,000. So we're talking, just short of 1950.
Yep.
And then for 2.99%, or I guess 2950, so just short of $3,000 for the 2.99%.
Yep.
And then just over, what is that, 3,150?
About
Like
3,200.
yeah. So you're looking at a difference of about $215 just for waiting, right? Just because of the interest rates increasing.
That's just waiting on interest rates. That's not even counting the appreciation.
Right. Yes, exactly. So remember, if the home does appreciate an additional $50,000 more, that's also gonna be another cost that you need to account for, right?
Probably gonna be about another like $40 if it went up $50,000. If the home went up $50,000 on top of that $215 just in the change of interest rates, it's also going to be another $50 on top of that. So you're looking at almost at about $270 a month.
Yes.
Higher payments.
Just for waiting for the same exact home, right? Angel, let's go into, this is your round right here, mortgage rates, right? So this was a huge story in 2021. We had historically low interest rates. I think we had our bottom that we've ever seen in the record of interest rates that at least we have an account for. At a certain point, interest rates hit under 2.2% for certain types of financing, which is unheard of. And interest rates now, as we've mentioned earlier, are expected to increase. They're now 3% or even higher than 3% and should be, according to many experts, heading into the mid to high threes into 2022. But Angel, let's just look at the history of the 30-year mortgage rate chronicled by Freddie Mac. So, what does it say by decade?
So in the 1970s, we were at 8.86%, 1980s, 12.7%, 1990s, 8.12%, 2000s, 6.29%, and in the 2010s, 4.09%.
Gotcha. So historically, what does that mean?
Well, historically, that means that rates have gotten better over time, right? And that's the other thing too, is that people are like, oh my goodness, rates are in the mid threes, or because rates have gone up already right now. It's common rates are in the 3% right now. It's like, yes, rates did go up compared to they were last year, but they're not high historically speaking, right? As you can see, in 2010s, the average rate was over 4%. So if you can get a rate right now in the 3%, or in 2022 in the 3%, which is very, very likely, that's still an extremely good interest rate historically speaking.
Absolutely. So remember, interest rates right now, at this current moment in time, even pretty much all next year, are going to be historically low interest rates. I mean, if you're able to get anything under 4%, wow, like it's still a very good rate. That boat, where it was 2.5% and under, was a very short boat, and it looks like it sailed for most of us, but that doesn't mean that these interest rates now aren't still good rates. They're still very, very strong rates. Angel, I want to look at housing inventory. Now, this is something where a lot of buyers and realtors alike have really struggled with, right? It's really difficult for not just a buyer, right, to get their offer accepted, but when it seems like no one wants to sell their home, as a realtor to actually get a listing or get an offer accepted as well. So it's something that we both feel pain for at the same time. But there is some good news for the housing inventory heading into 2022, right? And here's 3 reasons why experts expect an increase in inventory. Number 1, homeowners may be more confident putting their homes on the market as COVID numbers continue to drop and more people become vaccinated. Number 2, many of the obstacles halting or slowing new construction are fading, and those homes come on the market adding new inventory and meeting the needs of the population growth. And then number 3, as forbearance comes to a close, experts predict a wave of new homes coming on the market. However, they don't anticipate the majority of these to be foreclosures. Instead, because of the built-up equity, right, the huge amount of appreciation that we had in the past year, homeowners are in position and will have the opportunity to sell instead of foreclosing and the bank taking over their property, right? So these are 3 tremendous reasons why we anticipate inventory levels to increase. Again, we have historically low inventory levels. Inventory month supply nationally right now sits at about 3 months. So if there was no more homes listed on the market. It would take about 2 to 3 months for all the homes on the market to be sold. In Los Angeles County, in Orange County, we're talking about 1.5 months or less, which is super short because historically a balanced market is about 5, 6, 7 months, right? And then 7+ months is a buyer's market. So we're in an extreme seller's market, but we can see ourselves easing of that and heading a little bit more towards a balanced market. Angel, what catches your attention about these projections according to these industry experts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I agree with all of it, right? COVID, slowdown of COVID, it's definitely, I think, going to help the markets become a little bit more stable. More, let's see, the other one is the growth of the population, right? So, less new construction. So, we're going to need more homes on the market, right? Which that's going to help. If there's no new construction and no new inventory coming on, then that's just gonna another reason as to why homes will appreciate, right? And then, the foreclosures. Like we talked about it all year on this podcast. Like foreclosures aren't gonna really be a thing, right? People keep talking, we're gonna have a foreclosures market. We're not gonna have a foreclosure market. It's impossible when every home literally has equity, right? So it doesn't make any sense why someone's gonna foreclose on their home when they can sell it, pay off their loan, and still walk away with money. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the second point, right, where many obstacles halting or slowing new construction are fading, we are starting to see that, right? At a certain point, the price of lumber was like 3 times more than what it should be. Yeah. It's not that anymore. We are still starting to have, especially here in Los Angeles County and Southern California, port struggles, transportation struggles. So as those start to resolve and ease, then we can start to see more materials for homes being built, right? And a stronger labor force of people building these homes. But yes, as we mentioned before, we don't anticipate any forbearances or not very many forbearances. People just have way too much equity in their home. In the case that they ever just...
Foreclosures, not forbearances.
I'm sorry, foreclosures. In the instance that they just haven't been able to work, right? They would still probably have, let's just say $50,000 to $100,000 in equity. That's enough to sell your property and walk away with some money. So yes, we don't really see that many foreclosures, but still there's going to be a lot more short sales is what would be considered, right? People that are just trying to sell and just trying to get as much money as they can out because they can't afford their monthly payments anymore. What does this mean for buyers or sellers in 2022, right? So, I mean, there's still a lot of motivation for both buyers and sellers heading into 2022 for sellers because we're still going to be in a seller's market. We've been in a seller's market for 8-9 years now, but we were in an extreme seller's market. We're starting to see that ease, so there's a good opportunity for sellers to be like, hey, you know what, my home is still extremely competitive. It's only going to become less competitive as time goes on. Let's try to sell it for top dollar, take that money and purchase investment properties or purchase another home, right? So that's the incentive there for sellers. And then for buyers, interest rates are still historically low, right? We expect them to slowly start to increase, but as time wears on and interest rates get more and more expensive and interest rates get more and more, interest rates get higher and higher and homes get more and more expensive, it just becomes less ideal for buyers, right? So there's an incentive to try to purchase when you have the means, the sooner than later. Angel, what does this mean for buyers or sellers in your opinion?
It just means another crazy. I mean, it's not going to be as crazy as this year. I don't think anything will surpass this crazy year market, but it's another year of appreciating homes. We're still lacking inventory, which basically means we're still going to see multiple offers on homes, right? So buyers are still going to have to be competitive. Sellers, it's still going to be a good time for you guys to sell. Interest rates are still going to be good. So these are just all directions and a strong housing economy, right? So, I mean, we've been saying it and we've been echoing it all year on the podcast that there is going to be no type of housing crisis, right? So it's going to be the opposite. We're going to continue to see appreciating homes. So any of you people who keep waiting and saying the market's going to crash, if you're still going to wait on the market crash, you're going to be waiting for quite a while because we don't think it's going to crash anytime soon, to be honest.
Absolutely, Angel. Thank you for saying that. And there's one important thing that's not in here, and that's the increase in rents, right? Not only did appreciation increase 13%, or I guess 11, 12% nationally, but rents increased dramatically also, about 15, 16% nationally. So that should be even more incentive to get into a home if you have the means, just because your rent is gonna get more expensive. You might as well lock in a fixed monthly cost sooner than later, because if you've seen any of our rent versus buy calculations, you know what it looks like after 5, after 10, after 30 years, right? You're going to be paying a lot more in rent than you will be paying for your mortgage. And that doesn't even include how much appreciation that you're going to gain, right? And stuff like that. Rents collected. There's a lot of ways to make money through real estate. So I think that's pretty much wraps it up, homies. I hope this is really insightful. I'm going to copy the link to this Keeping Current Matters article and post it on our YouTube, on our forms of social media, on our podcast, and podcast description. That way, if you want to just take a look at the article for itself, take a look at it. Keeping Current Matters is an amazing resource for people who want to learn more about the real estate market. They've been historically very correct, which is why I put a lot of stake into what they say. So I think that's pretty much it. Angel, where can we find you at?
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram.
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram. You know where to find us, at the Luevanos Group. Thank you, homies. I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Hey homies, it's Anthony. This podcast contains my opinions and is for educational purposes only. It does not guarantee any projections and should not serve as a basis for any purchase or sale in real estate.